Mrs. B, as she's called by many friends. We call her also Tita Edit. She has led the search for her son and filed criminal and civil charges against President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo and military officers involved in the case. Friends, mga kababayan, we are calling on Mrs. Edita Burgos. Let us give her a warm round of applause.
Thank you very much. That was a very generous talk. First, I wish to congratulate the organizers of this conference. It is not only timely, it is only not the thing that we really need now, but it brings so much hope to us victims, non-victims, and advocates. When I was invited to give a keynote talk, I asked those who invited me, "You think I can do it?" You know, it's different when we talk with a small group and when we talk with a big crowd with international participants. Let me start with the Soma. In my language, Soma means state of this mother's affairs. It is now the 82nd day of the 7th year of our search. Jonas has turned 43 last March 29, and March 29 I know is significant to most of you. His wife had to reinvent herself so that she's able to make both ends meet. From a visual artist, she's now an educator. Their daughter every day wishes that her father would see her, especially when she has to perform in school. She too is turning out to become a performing artist and a visual artist, having won second place in one of the national contests for poster making, and she's only 8 years old. And the theme was rights of children. And you know what she told me? You know, Mita, they call me Mamita, my grandchildren, 9 of them. You know, Mita, I can very well make posters of this kind if the theme is always the same. And the theme was rights of children. And I said, "What do you know about rights of children?" And she said in Tagalog, "Alam ko ang karapatan ko kahit bata pa ako. I know my rights even if I am just a child." Third generation activist. Jonas's brothers, sisters, aunts and uncles, cousins, relatives and friends must live a life with both the dangerous and kind-hearted. You know, it's difficult because even if they want to reject those who criticize us, they cannot because they have to be present for Jonas. Meanwhile, the mother, even if she professes to live an austere life, has gained more pounds. Her hair, more silver than black, must persist in engaging the courts. And that is not very easy in the Philippines and in your countries as well. In the meanwhile, some friends, especially those who belong to what we call the conservatory mode, wonder why this woman cannot move on with her life after 6 years, and they probably believe that Jonas is gone. They have distanced themselves. Meanwhile, colleagues who used to believe in the credibility of this woman have labeled her because she has been going with the wrong group of people, more to the left and to the right. Right, sister? Meanwhile, strangers walk up to her in the markets, in the strangest places, in the trains, churches, even under the bridges in Quiapo, and they hug her, tell her that they pray for her and the children, and they pray for the family, and sometimes even offer assistance. A waiter walked up to me and said, "Ma'am, I have 5 pesos here to help the cause." And I accepted the 5 pesos. Organizations have offered unsolicited support. Without this support, we would not have been able to pursue the search. Meanwhile, also, blessings came one after the other, and they were never late, and we were always provided for. And you have just heard my soma, state of this mother's affairs. We, victims of enforced disappearances, must live in both hopeful and despairing episodes, engaging both the kind and the gentle-hearted and the insensitive and antagonistic persons, dealing with both supportive and obstructive institutions and organizations. And it is within this context that we, the family, have grown rich in our poverty. Allow me to make my launchpad Jonas's case, because it is the only case where I am confident that what I am saying are facts and not hearsay evidence. First, the Commission on Human Rights has found a witness. The past chairperson terminated the investigation unceremoniously simply because I didn't want to talk to one of the generals they wanted me to talk to. However, the next chairperson gladly reopened the case and pursued it vigorously. The current chairperson now, it is under her administration that the witness was found and the name of one of the abductors has been identified. The Court of Appeals has ruled that there is no direct link. And yet, after the Supreme Court looked at the case, it has accepted new evidence provided by the Commission on Human Rights. As early as 5 years ago, the names of those involved were already in the possession of the Supreme Court. If they investigated these names, which we have given to them last March, then at least after 5 years, something would have happened. The evidences submitted were not investigated. The names and cartographic sketches were completely ignored by the police. The investigation, according to the Supreme Court, had serious lapses. Then after that, another 1 year, and the Court of Appeals finds from this evidence that the abduction truly is an enforced disappearance, that Major Balyaga is responsible for the abduction of Jonas, that the AFP, particularly the Philippine Army, is accountable for the disappearance of Jonas, and that the PNP CIDG investigate with diligence. And they were ordered, the military was ordered to surface Jonas. And what did the military do? They denied, and nothing has happened. Nobody has been cited in contempt. Now, I am talking about the case of Jonas, but erase the name. Remove the name Jonas Burgos and read the facts, and you would see that I could be talking about any enforced disappearance case. The symptoms are classic. They're all there. It could have been anyone, not Jonas. What are the symptoms? The moment the investigators discover that the military is involved, they retreat, they tremble, they're scared, and if only they could hide under their pants, they would do that. Why? Because they investigated the case of Jonas, and the superintendent, the head of the investigation team, took the witness stand and said that only 2 persons should be accused. And this is the one witness who cooperated and who identified the abductors. And the second one is the original owner of the car to which this car plate was attached. And the original owner, according to the investigator, a superintendent at that, said that he had a grudge he wanted to take revenge on the military. He stole his own plate inside the camp. The car, by the way, was parked 10 steps away from the headquarters. Then he stole it, attached it to another van, abducted Jonas to let people know that the military did this, revenge. When the judge was incredible and asked him, why do you conclude that? Oh, because we have summoned him 2 times, he has not appeared. And so now he is a rebel, he's a member of the NPA because he did not come. He's now in the mountains, incredulous. But they did not investigate the names we gave and the sketches. 4 commissioned officers and 3 John Does. What has happened? That's almost 2 years this July. It is still in the preliminary investigation stage. And I conclude that the cover-up is not only individual but institutional. Why would the people of this administration still cover up? They were not the ones involved. They are not the ones who will go to jail, but they still do. Instead of cleaning up their ranks, instead of really investigating seriously so that their credibility would be enhanced, they don't do that. So impunity continues. Justice delayed, justice denied. It has happened to us, and they say that the case of Jonas is faster. No one has been held accountable, even if they're identified. Perpetrators are rewarded, and there is no effective antidote to denial. Medical practitioners here, maybe you want to go on research and find out what antidote we can use for that. And also, family is harassed. Now, more than any time in the 6-year search, I feel that there is danger looming. I am not only being followed, I am being surveilled. All my children are all now being followed, and they only bring their children to school. And those who follow make themselves visible, and they are seen by my children and grandchildren. Imagine a 6-year-old saying, "Dads, we're being followed again." I say, walk up to them and say, "Sir, you'll not find anything." Meanwhile, what is the message? I just gave you the background. This is the true message. For those who have more is expected. And for those who have less, you are not impoverished because you have nothing to give. It is, in fact, out of our nothingness. I am a retired widow. I have no pension. But yet, somehow, I am able to give. And this conference is one of the mores that I say here. Thank God that you have this. From the design of the conference, I can see that you have a lot expected. But me, I have no illusions that what I am doing will make the government remove Oplan Bayanihan or make major changes. But the least little thing is, whenever there is something that I know, a human rights violation, I get the facts, write it down, give it to a friend who is a personal friend of the highest official of the Philippines, and let it reach him. And I say, I give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he does not know this, but once you give that to him and he does not do anything, I do not err by omission. He errs by commission, and I do not sin. So I do that every time I get something. And if you have something, facts, give them to me, I'll pass it on, and I pray that it's passed on to him, then let the ball be in his hands. That is the little thing, microscopic, but there is something that I can do out of nothingness. We have learned to transcend the labeling. Why? It was difficult for me to look for my son. It was so painful because every time I talk to somebody, that somebody would tell me, "Oh, your son must have deserved it." But what did I do? I looked at the heart of my son, and I knew that what my son did, and most of your friends and all those whom you miss now, they have purer hearts than us. They have purer hearts than those who sit in uniform in government. Why? They give of their lives. They give up everything. And did Jesus not say, "Here, I love you so much. I'll show you how. I'll spread out my hands and die. He who gives his life to somebody else has a pure heart." And I believe that my son has that. By believing that, I can take an upper moral ground higher than those who accuse him, who criticize us. And we must all do that. Look at the motivation. Maybe he erred. Who is a saint? But his motivation was good. And that is better when you have to search. And isn't it a universal principle that killing, extrajudicial killing, disappearance will always be bad? It will always be wrong. It will always be a sin. But why do people, the majority, the indifferent, the silent, walk away from us and not be conscientized? You know, I've been pondering over this, and I said, maybe it is because we make a clear divide between the left and the right. We should not do that. This is something universal. We get quotes from the Pope, Pope Benedict, Pope Francis, Pope John Paul, saying that human rights violations should never happen, and we must respect the human dignity of man because they are children of God.